Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to another episode of Intuitive Creator Spotlight, where we bring stories of amazing people who decided to embrace their journeys, and now they're guiding other people to embrace their journeys too and experience incredible transformations in their life. I am Stella, your host, and if you're new to our channel, please take a moment to subscribe, watch this video, let us know your thoughts, and stay tuned for all the amazing episodes that are being shared here. Today, I have as a guest Jessica. She brings together the worlds of creativity, mental health, and personal empowerment in a way that's both fun and transformative for her clients. She is a beautiful creative soul, and I cannot wait for her to share more about her story and her work. Hi, Jessica. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Stella. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And thanks for having me too.
It is a joy to have you here, and I know that you combine in a lot of the things that you do art with mental health. How do you do that, and why is this important for you?
So, for me as an artist, I've been creating art since I was a kid, well, like most people actually. And when I was a teenager, I really used it, well, I began to use it as a tool to kind of regulate my emotions. As a teenager, it's like really difficult to manage your emotional states. There's a lot of ups and downs. And it was a very difficult time for me personally. So I learned how to use my art as a tool to kind of not only to deal with these emotions, but also to, in a way, get into a kind of flow state, in a state where I could just like kind of be relaxed, where my mind would just leave me alone for an hour or however long I was creating art. So I've always been fascinated with how our subconscious mind works and how we can use tools, visual tools, and even things like writing to not only tap into that subconscious area of our minds and learn like amazing things and interesting things about ourselves, but to also begin to like reprogram certain beliefs, certain thoughts, to create a better environment, not only in our minds, but also like in our lives, you know?
Mm.
Um,
So
so
would you say that uh, changing your environment outside of yourself can influence what's happening inside and vice versa?
Totally, totally. Yeah. I think what's more important is changing your inner environment, because what I learned throughout my work in therapeutic art as well, and also going to art therapy, like I have a lot of art therapist friends. Um, I've learned that your inner environment, if that's not stable, your life is not stable.
Mm.
So if you can reach a state of inner calm, of inner acceptance, self-compassion, and self-love, then really like you will see your external environment begin to change according to what you're putting in.
I love how you're describing it as inner environment. How
Yes.
can that help someone when they go through challenges in their life if they really constantly focus on that and keep it in?
Well, I think there are so many ways that you can create a more positive, happy inner environment. I'm someone who suffered a lot with depression, anxiety, substance abuse, all of that stuff. And I realized that the reason I was doing all this was to like escape my own mind.
Mm.
So I think when I had to stop all of that because I had some health issues and I had to stop like all of my preferred escape mechanisms, I had to stop drinking, stop smoking, everything. And I began to kind of sit with those emotions. So I think the first step is to just become aware of like, what am I actually thinking to myself on a daily basis? What am I feeling like as a habitual kind of state? And once you become more aware, then you can begin to use different tools, like proactive, positive tools. Instead of drinking and smoking, you can use art, you can use writing, and those are the kind of tools that I went towards because I'm an artist. I'm also a teacher, so I do a lot of writing. And I learned how you can use art as a tool to create a more peaceful, more calm inner environment, or at least to release very high energy emotions like anger, and to improve kind of low energy emotions like depression. So you can use art as a tool to kind of release those, or you can use it as a tool to transmute them into something more beautiful, more positive. And that goes for writing as well. Like writing is a very brilliant tool to make changes in your inner environment.
I love that you're bringing this beautiful healing energy into the world because, yes, when we hear about things like depression, anxiety, we also hear a lot of the times that people go and take medication, which, of course, in
Yes,
certain cases, that might be really necessary.
yes.
But at the same time, your story is an example of like, hey, what about looking back within yourself, coming back to yourself and really understanding what works for you and alchemizing, transmuting that energy really, really helps in those times as well. And so I know that you spoke about the importance of having a purpose during challenging times. How
Mm.
does this kind of mindset can help someone go through anxiety and depression?
That's a tricky question, because some people, I've always felt like I had some kind of purpose. So I'm like one of the lucky ones. I know some people don't feel that way. For example, my older brother, he doesn't feel like he has, like some big purpose in life. And there are many people that feel like that. So I don't want those people to think like there's something wrong with them because they don't feel like they have a purpose. Sometimes your purpose can just be like to be happier, or to be healthier. And I think for me, I really wanted to kind of test out my own theories on myself, and I wanted to see like is it possible to change my life using writing, using art? And yeah, it totally is. It totally is. Yeah.
Mm. And that's amazing. And thank you for then for bringing that into other people's awareness as well, because of course people are attracted to your art. And I would love to ask you actually, when you think about all of these beautiful souls that come into your world and they are attracted to the workshops that you do, the art that you create, what do you think attracts them to you, to your energy and everything that you do?
I think these are the kind of people that are, in a way, fascinated by the human mind. I think they're the kind of people who are wanting a change or kind of on a self-development journey, or they have already done that journey and they like to see that in the form of art. It's difficult to I'm thinking about my art because I make quite surreal. I'm thinking of my ink blots. So I make these ink blots, these really big ink blots on canvas. So you know what an ink blot is? It's like when you put the paint on and you fold it and you open it, right? And so I do that on canvas, and then I kind of begin to just paint what I see. So it's a very intuitive process, and there's no plan or anything involved. I'm just kind of like seeing what appears. And I think what's amazing about these kinds of artworks and the courses that I do and the structure of them is that it allows for people to see themselves in the artwork, to make their own like interpretation. So it brings out their own like subconscious, which is really amazing because it's something that I like created, although sometimes it doesn't even feel like I created it. It's just like this just appears, and yeah, people can see whatever they see, and then it like opens up this door for like conversation, like, oh, what do you see in this ink blot? Oh, that's interesting. Like, I wonder what that means. It's it's just fascinating to me. And I think the people that are attracted to my kind of work are just, they understand that there's something in them that's more powerful than they maybe realize, or that they've kind of used or taken advantage of. So I think it's those kind of people, people that want to make a change, a positive change in their lives.
And it all starts from that decision of like, oh, I will become more curious about who I am and how I perceive the world around me. And I love this idea. I absolutely love the idea of you presenting that art and allowing for those people to interpret that art in their own way. I do have a painting in my house that is quite abstract and very colorful. And when somebody comes into our home, they'll be like, "Oh, what's there? Like, what is painted there?" And I'm like, "That's
I
for you.
love that.
That's for you to decide." Because
Yeah.
I think it's also fascinating to hear other people's perspectives on things. Because at
Mm.
the end of the day, we all live kind of this in this world. And what happens is different people have a different perception of the same reality, and they perceive it
Mm.
as a different reality for themselves. But it's
Exactly.
fascinating. It is fascinating to listen to how everybody interprets that. And that's why we have so many different forms of art and
Mhm.
music and so much more that's happening in this world. And I know that in your art, you also channel or bring you'll explain how you do that this interesting creature and you call her she wolf. Tell us
Yes.
more about that 'cause that's really interesting. When I
Um,
see your content I'm like wow.
oh, you like her? Yeah, she's
Yeah,
uh she's I don't know if you've ever read the book Women Who Run with Wolves.
I heard of
Um,
it.
yeah, it's a really amazing book, and I'm quite interested in Jung and the symbols of our subconscious. And in that book, it kind of reflects on like the symbols and stories of like archetypal things about being human, And it's kind of something that's universal, which is very interesting to me. And this she-wolf, she's almost like an alter ego in a way. She takes on many different forms, but she's usually got like a kind of a mask. So essentially it's me, but with a mask, or her face is like the face of like a wolf. So, I come from South Africa. There's a lot of different kind of tribal associations there, like lots of different tribes, different languages, different cultures. So I've always been surrounded by a very like rich cultural environment with lots of different types of people. And one day, I don't know if I should tell you the whole long story about the she-wolf. I made a mask. I was with my friend. We were playing badminton in my grand's garden, and I found like this piece of a palm tree, and it looked like teeth on the end. So I like kind of joked around and put it on my face, and I was like, "Holy shit, this looks like a wolf mask." And so that's part of it. I also used to have well, I still do. I had a very surreal dream about involving dogs and puppies and breastfeeding. It was very odd. And also, I don't know if you know about the Capitolone wolf. It's like La Loba, the mother of Rome. And it's based on a story of a she-wolf, like a female wolf, who comes across Romulus and Remus, which were supposed to be the kings of Rome, but they were babies. And someone tried to like get rid of them so that they wouldn't rise to power. And the she-wolf found them and kind of like nursed them and like raised them. And it's also got to do with the fertility goddesses, and just this idea of like we have this, as women and as people, men are included in this because there's aspects, men have aspects that are feminine and women have aspects that are masculine. We're very much interlinked. And just this idea of like this wild kind of tribal, very raw, very primal force that has this ability to just like nurture, but not just nurture, but also like be like a powerful, like autonomous figure, you know, someone who's autonomous, who's very confident, sure, and powerful, not only in terms of her nature, but also in terms of like her sexuality, like all aspects of being human, because it's all important, right? So that's that's the short story of the she-wolf. Yes, and she usually has six breasts as well. So if
Mm.
anyone is a boob person, like that art is for you.
It's very interesting. And
Mm.
with that, it's an example of how you listened to your own guidance and even looked at all of those symbols, that part of the palm tree, and
Mm.
connected it with other stories in history as well. And this is how I feel like everything we do in this lifetime is a co-creation between ourselves and the universe, between ourselves here as human beings. And so it is really amazing to bring these parts in everybody's awareness. And it also helps us because story sharing is so powerful. Even this, that we
Mm.
have been sharing stories since, the beginning of time. So
Yeah,
when we talk
exactly.
about our visions, our experiences, the energies that we experience as well, it really helps people to recognize themselves in that story too. And as an artist, Jessica, I know that you do painting and this beautiful art. And you also work with laughter yoga. I would love for you to tell us, how did you decide, or maybe how did you come across this area of like art or this space, and how did that benefit you?
Wow. So, laughter yoga is just such an amazing tool. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically so if I was to have a laughter session with you, we would just do laughter yoga exercises. So it could be as simple as repeat after me. It could be as simple as that. And the first time I came across this was actually at a silent retreat in Portugal. So this is where I live now. And I did a silent retreat with a guy called Muji, amazing, amazing spiritual teacher. And during this week-long retreat, they had laughter yoga. So that was my first experience with it. And it kind of just blew my mind. Like, I didn't really know what to expect. But I wasn't expecting to have like such an intense like fit of laughter that I was worried that I would never come out of it and that I would just be laughing for the rest of my life hysterically. Of course, I did come out of it, and I just began to use it as a tool. There was a time in my life where I was very, very angry. Like I had like so much anger all the time. And I started using laughter yoga just very simply by myself while I was driving to my studio. I would just laugh. I would act like I was talking to my friend on the phone, like hands-free, obviously, so that people around me wouldn't think I'm completely crazy. And I would act like I'm talking to my friend, and she just told me something like hilarious. And then I would just laugh all the way to the studio. Like once I almost had to pull over because I actually got into like a laughing fit. So it can be, I don't suggest you do it while driving. No, I think it's okay. Um, and just from doing these different things, like doing the laughter yoga, doing the art, all these things, I really began to change. And the laughter yoga was just such a joyful, easy, free, beautiful tool that I could use at any time of the day. Like, okay, maybe there's some circumstances where it's not appropriate, but it's such an awesome, free and easy tool. And I just wanted to share that with people. It was during COVID. I started doing it online with my colleagues at work, and it was just awesome and really fun. And then actually, when I was in Portugal, it was it was this year. I think it was this year or the end of last year that I got my laughter yoga certification. So now
Oh,
I can say I'm a certified laughter coach, which is
wow.
ridiculous actually, but really cool nonetheless. So yeah, in my group, which is called Create Calm Crew, we really combine different things. So it might sound kind of chaotic and crazy, but there's three main ingredients in what I do, and that's therapeutic art, journaling, and laughter yoga. So usually what I do is have like separate challenges for kind of each thing. Sometimes I combine them. So it's just a really wonderful way to break the ice with people, to release anxiety. It's so, so good at releasing anxiety. And the tests that I've done with people, because I always do like, how do you feel? Like a little emotional scale, like how's your anger? How's your stress? How's your anxiety? So I always do like a before and an after. And in my 5-day laughter yoga challenges, people's numbers went drastically down from like having high anxiety, maybe like a 10 or a 9, all the way down to like 2, 3. So it kind of blew my mind when I discovered that and actually measured like how it was affecting people.
Mm.
And of course, there's been studies, lots of studies done on the powerful effect that laughter can have on your mind, on your body, and the different chemicals it can release into your body, boost immune system, all kinds of things like that, releasing serotonin, oxytocin. So it's a really amazing tool, and I highly recommend it to anyone.
Absolutely. And to everyone who's watching us, please check out the description of this video to know how to connect with Jessica and to know more about her space, her work, and everything that she's working on. And yes, I agree that there is something that happens when you see someone smiling or you smile. And the first time I
Mhm.
came across laughter yoga was years ago in a Facebook group, I remember. And I thought, what is this? Like, this yoga to me was something different. But
Exactly.
and then once you start seeing these people like laugh, it's like, you go at an evening to dance, like a party or something, and you stay in a corner and watch how others dance. And you're like, that looks crazy. Like, what is this? Until you step into that space yourself
Yeah.
and start moving and start dancing. Same with yoga. Until I stepped and did it with everybody else. And that's when I was able to truly feel the power of that energy because it just
Yeah.
everything changes and it's like your whole body
Yeah.
is responding back and saying, hey, you're doing the right thing. Like
Yeah.
keep doing. That's why I
Yeah.
totally get it when you say that sometimes you have to stop it or just stop the car or whatever and to kind of be aware that
And
you
it's not always easy as well. Like sometimes, because our negative emotions are, people don't realize how addictive they are and
yeah.
how difficult. This is why it's actually so difficult to change, because we're so addicted to these negative emotions of stress, of depression, anxiety. Our cells become addicted to the chemicals. So, I want to encourage you, like sometimes the times that you least feel like doing it are the times you should do it. And it just takes like you just do it. You don't think about it. When you're really feeling low like that, you can set your timer for 5 minutes and just laugh for 5 minutes. Like see if you can do it. And don't forget to breathe. Breathing is very important in laughter
That's why I
yoga.
wanted to ask because I know you're working a lot. I mean, you're very aware of the breath work, and I wanted to
Yes.
ask why do you think this is important in everything that you mentioned already?
Yeah, that's a very good question because, in all of my activities that I do, I always include a kind of therapeutic art with breath work. So it's very simply just drawing lines, but really focusing on the breath. And there's a very particular breath I use, and it's called the physiological sigh. So I learned about this from the neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, and it wasn't him that discovered it. It's been known for quite some time. I can't remember like who exactly developed it, but it's a kind of breath that everyone does naturally to a certain extent, including animals. Animals and babies do this. But if you can do it consciously, it can really, really help you to relax, to calm your nervous system. It's helped me with anxiety, like anxiety attacks. If you're having an anxiety attack, this breath is very good for that. If you're struggling to sleep at night, this will put you to sleep. So we can do it together now. Do you want to?
Yes, please.
So it's very, very simple. So you take one deep breath in. So fill your lungs, and then another one to really get as much air as you can. So, and then out through your mouth, very slowly out through your mouth. So we'll take another nice deep breath in. And then again. And out through your mouth. And you can feel just by doing it twice, it begins to settle your body down. So it's suggested doing this for 5 minutes a day to really have like long-lasting impacts on your physical health and mental health as well. It's a really, really excellent breath, and I use it a lot.
Wow, thank you so much because you've done an exercise now that everybody can do with us here while watching this interview, and this is so cool, isn't it? I'm super super grateful for you sharing this
Oh,
exercise with us. So, as we
thank you.
are wrapping up this episode, I'd love to ask this question because there is someone who's maybe watching us, maybe they are thinking, okay, I know I'm dealing with all of these things, maybe some anxiety, depression, I feel lonely, I feel lost, whatever are the feelings that they're experiencing. And after this episode, they might think, okay, so it seems like I can start improving my mental health through creative practices. What would you suggest as first steps for them so that it's not like too overwhelming, but at the same time, they start implementing something gradually?
Um, well, I think the breathing is important. I think it's important to first calm yourself down to the point where you can just sit with yourself and just become aware, because that's really the first step, is just becoming aware, like, what am I thinking to myself on a daily basis? So one really simple exercise that everyone can do, no matter where you are in your journey, is just to take a pen and a piece of paper, or buy a nice journal for yourself, and just to start writing down, like, like, what am I thinking to myself? Like, what are my beliefs? You know, and just start to write those down, like, oh, I'm not worthy. Bad things always happen to me, like, whatever it is, like, and be very, very honest with yourself. No one else has to read this. You can even burn it afterwards. In fact, I usually, I sometimes, not usually, I sometimes suggest to my students to like burn their whatever it is. If it's a negative therapeutic art or negative writing, I suggest to burn it, and it can be a very cathartic experience. But that's the first step, is to just become aware, like, what am I thinking to myself? What am I feeling on a daily basis? And once you've got this list, you can look at it and then just begin to kind of see if you can change that to its opposite. So if, for example, you're thinking to yourself on a daily basis, like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, maybe the opposite of that could be something like, I'm enough, good things always happen to me, um, I deserve the best, and just start to write in the positive. So always write in the positive, using positive language. For example, instead of writing, I'm not stressed, you'll write, I am calm. So you're always using positive language, always in the present tense. So I am, I do, I have. And this way you can just begin to, once you become aware of those thoughts, and you'll see once you've written them down, you start to become more aware of them. Oh, I'm thinking that thought. And then you can stop yourself and just say, you can say stop or change. And then you start to think the positive one. And you just remind yourself to think that one. And gradually, look, this isn't like a it's not an instant thing. It's not a quick, there's no quick fixes with this.
No,
Okay.
absolutely.
You can feel good very quickly, but in terms of like your negative patterns, these are habits. So it takes a while to develop habits. So it takes a while to break them as well, but it is possible. Okay. So if you keep at it and you keep kind of changing these negative thoughts to the positive and being aware when you're thinking those things, I believe 100% you can begin to change the way you think and the way you feel. And once you change the way you think and the way you feel, like your life will begin to show you the things, the new things that you're thinking.
This is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Jessica.
You're
Thank you
so
so much.
welcome.
Thank you for watching this episode. Make sure to check the description of this video, connect with this beautiful soul. Thank you for watching us. Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this episode. Thank you. See you again soon. Bye.